Happy Tuesday! Hi, everybody. Welcome back to RM Podcast FL. This is your host, Romina. I hope everybody is having a fabulous day, and I'm super duper excited for today's interview. Before we do jump into the interview and the bio, I just definitely want to take a moment and thank everybody that has reached out so far and has liked and commented on our podcasts. There is a very small, tiny favor I would love to ask for you guys. If you can please share your favorite podcast on your social media platforms, or even if you talk to your friends, family, coworkers, everybody, anybody about our podcast, that would be really greatly appreciated. This is a self-sponsored podcast, and my main mission is for our listeners to learn at least one new thing per episode. I have learned a lot myself so far, just learning how to communicate better with people, which is very important. So without losing any time, let's jump right into the bio of today's speaker, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the interview. Now, this is a longer interview. It is about 1 hour and 47 minutes. So I will go ahead and share it on 2 different episodes. The first one is going to be launched today, and the second one, it will be launched on Thursday. I do not want you guys to wait a whole week to finish the conversation, so I will just separate it in 2 different episodes. Today, the first part, and on Thursday, the second part. But without losing any time, let's jump right into the bio of today's speaker and then into the interview. I hope you guys enjoy it. Statistically speaking, Ray was supposed to be just another resident of a small town in Ohio, but he knew right from the beginning he was very different. He is very passionate about following his dreams and loves proving others wrong, for good reasons. I know Ray for quite some time now, and one thing that you learn from him right away is that he has a lot of energy in him and he loves speaking up his mind. A little background on Ray. He is the 6-time All-American in track and field national champion. And for a while, he pursued a coaching career. He became Division I coach on 3 different universities and found himself as a coach at UCLA for about 3 years. Instead of accepting a job in a very prestige SEC team, he actually decided to quit that career and try to find his true calling, explore more about his life. Years later, now we see Ray as an author. His books are available on Amazon. His books are I Will Rule and Defined by Definition, The Leader's Guide to Define the Lies. He's also a podcaster, a successful entrepreneur, and a father. I will attach all his information on the podcast as well, so you guys can make sure to reach out if you'd like to contact Ray. He's very passionate about helping others. Fun fact, he has been married for about 12 years now with his lovely wife, and his daughters are just adorable. Like I stated earlier, I'm super excited about this podcast that I cannot wait to share with you guys. I hope you really enjoy this podcast, and don't forget, this is just the first episode. The second episode will launch on Thursday to make sure that you follow the full interview. So without losing any time, let's jump right in. Okay, so today's episode, I'm really excited for it.
All right.
We got Ray.
Woohoo!
Hi, Ray. How are you?
I'm so good, it's ridiculous.
Oh, my goodness. So, just an FYI, guys. Yeah. I will drive 5 hours today just for this interview. Like, this is how amazing this interview is going to be, and I'm super excited.
I hope I live up to the hype. It's going to be fun.
So, I know you for about 4 years now?
Yeah.
First time we met was in a conference.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember second time, it was in Orlando Airport.
Yeah.
I remember I was in the line and
yes.
you were ahead of us,
yes.
and this big guy is like, Romina, and I was like, yes! And you like waited for me and my friend, yes. and we checked in together, and you're just always hypered up, all energy.
Try to.
Awesome. Well, we do have a lot of awesome questions.
Okay.
But first, I just want to kind of get started. I know you love talking about yourself, too.
No, yeah, I'm not that interesting, but yes, I can do that.
Well, we definitely want to learn
okay.
more. So walk us through a little bit of young Ray till this day, where you're from, and everything.
Okay, so I will make this as interesting as possible, but I grew up in a very small town called Troy, Ohio.
Okay.
In the middle of in the middle of the Midwest and around Dayton area of Ohio. So that's where I grew up. I kind of grew up a little bit different than most people. I think everybody says that. Everybody thinks they're a special, unique snowflake. Mine was a little bit different. I am the oldest of 3 kids. I right from the beginning, you can tell there's something a little bit different with my family. My brother and sister are both blonde hair, blue eye. I am, of course, a dark-skinned, dark-haired guy. And later in life, I found out a little bit different that my biological dad was not my actual dad, but I grew up my entire life, with my stepdad, who's I consider my dad.
Yeah,
he's my dad all the way through. Was my dad. So growing up in little corn-fed Ohio, obviously it was a little bit different for me than most people, if that makes sense. So, I grew up in a tiny town, went to school. So I kind of grew up in a weird way because I was a little bit different than everybody else. I always grew up with these, I don't want to call them angels, but I had 2 different competing sides on my shoulders, whispering in my ear all the time. If you the angel and the demon that are on your shoulder and stuff like that, I don't think there were angels, demons on my shoulder, but anyways.
Yeah.
One was on one shoulder, kind of telling me all the time that I was different and that I needed to prove myself. And I always had a chip on my shoulder, literally and figuratively about that I was different. And, kids kind of pointed that out when I was much younger growing up and stuff like that. And then the other little angel on my shoulder was always wanting to help people and be a happy kid and please people and so on and so forth. So growing up, I kind of wrestled with those 2 all the time. I wanted to prove people wrong because I was kind of a nerd. I was a nerd growing up, just to be honest with you. I like comic books and Legos and video games. And, I'm watching the Stranger Things right now. I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix.
I haven't seen it yet.
So good. I'm in the 4th episode.
I just started watching The Punisher.
Okay, Punisher?
So,
yeah, it's good. It's good. But I'm watching the Netflix series, and it's set in the 80s, so it's bringing me flashbacks, even though I'm a 90s kid or whatever, so it kind of gave me some flashbacks. But I was a nerd. I mean, I really was. Not jockey, not really special, but growing up, I got picked on a lot. I did.
Yeah.
I was a black kid in a tiny little school, and I was a nerd. I wasn't really that cool, and so on and so forth. And when I turned 13, kind of 2 pivotal things kind of happened in my life. One, I found Jesus. That was super important in my life and still is to this day. I found Christ. That changed a lot of the way I thought, the way I did things. And I encourage your followers to take a look at it for themselves. And then secondly, I found this thing called weights, lifting weights. And I found Jesus and I found iron the same year. And it really changed a lot of what I did. I went from this really nerdy, kind of pudgy kid to all of a sudden now I can lift heavy things and I'm strong and I'm an athlete and I went from and I remember it was funny in 6th grade everybody hated me and then in 7th grade everybody loved me because I could shoot a basketball. It was weird. Yeah, I got popular. I could make basketball hoops and I was strong.
That's all it takes. Huh?
Yeah, it's weird. It's oh, you're an athlete. Oh, you're cool now. I think at the time Biggie and Tupac were big as well. So it's oh hey, we have a black kid in our school. Yay, we're cool.
Goodness.
So for the longest time, nobody liked me, and then all of a sudden they liked me. But
so it kind of worked in your favor, though.
It did. It did work in my favor, and that's what.
When you look back at it, you're
yes.
that's just weird how those worked in my favor.
Yeah, for the first 12 years of my life, people hated me, and then afterwards, people liked me. So, but it all worked out. But I still had these 2 little, I call them angels on my shoulder. One was always trying to prove people wrong.
Uh-huh.
I just always wanted to prove people that I was better. I wanted to prove that I was smarter, that I could kick ass, that I could do all the things that anybody else could. That I wasn't less because I was, obviously completely different than everyone that looked like in my family, right? So I really invested in sports. I really got into sports. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. I was all-conference football player, all-conference basketball player, and then I was an all-state track and field athlete. That's what was my bread and butter. I lifted weights like a fiend all the time, every day from 13 until now I'm about to turn 35. Man, it's crazy. I'm still lifting weights.
Yeah, you'd be 4 in the morning, just live Instagramming and lifting weights at the gym, and I'm does he ever sleep?
No. Well, I do
when I look at your social media, I'm does he ever sleep? Because you're always doing something.
Yeah, I've always been that way. I mean, I sleep a lot because, I don't know, I nap. But at nighttime, it's weird. I don't really get to bed until like 1, but then I end up waking up. Like, my wife's awesome. She lets me sleep in with 2 little girls, so which is great. And great now that I'm doing my home-based stuff, I can sleep in. But
is it because your brain is always running and you have so
yes.
many thoughts that you can't sleep?
Yeah, I mean, because I don't know. I've always wanted to prove people wrong and be the best I could be. And I'm always thinking about things, and I always want to be the best. I've always wanted to be the best I could be at whatever I'm doing. So, like, the weight room, I try to be the best I can be. You know, when I was in high school, I tried to be the best at whatever sport I was doing and so on and so forth. And that got me into college. That got me a college scholarship and so on and so forth to throw. And I was a thrower in high school, or a thrower in college.
Where did you go to college?
I went to my undergraduate. I went to Malone College, small little Christian school. That's where I met my beautiful wife. And I was a 6-time All-American in track and field. Won the national championship in 2004. I saved my senior year of eligibility, and I transferred to the University of Akron. So it's a Division I school now, and that's where I did my master's degree at the University of Akron. Go Zips! And then I was an athlete there for 1 year, which was cool. And that's how I kind of got into. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that time. I was just a jock.
Yeah.
I was a jock from like 13 to like, I don't know, 21. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I kind of wanted to be a personal trainer. And then I realized, like, really personal training is more, this is going to sound terrible, so I have no filter. Did you warn their audience about that?
No, it's okay.
I have no filter. But I have no filter. I will make sure that...
I'll just make sure I put it that when it says for explicit language, I say yes to this podcast.
Jesus saved my soul, but sometimes my language comes out. But it's got to work on my mouth. Honestly, I didn't want to sit with grandmas all the time and hear about their grandkids. That's what personal training was to me, and that's what it seems like. It's like, and I watch it now, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much what it is. But I wanted to work with athletes. I kind of knew that. So when I was at Akron, I was taking these classes in my master's degree, and I saw all these like jacked dudes that were sitting in the back, and I was like, who the heck are these guys? They're like really big, and they're in all my classes. So I went back and I was like, hey, who are you guys? And they're like, oh, we're the strength coaches. So I'm like, strength coach? What's that? They're like, well, we train athletes and we make them bigger, stronger, faster. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Can I try that out? They're like, yeah. It's like, so I went into it with the idea of like, I'm just going to intern with these guys, see if I like it, blah, blah, blah. So I remember that like, it was yesterday, my first day as a strength coach intern. You know, I think they did this on purpose to like pick on me a little bit.
What you're made of?
Yeah, they put me on a floor with about 100 football players. And there's 100 football players. Keep in mind, I didn't play college football. I never played college football, but I was a high school football player, so I understand the lingo and so on and so forth. But I was a thrower, so throwers are different than football players. But I have 100 football guys, and they're like, okay, intern, teach these guys how to power clean. I was like, okay. I taught 105 guys how to power clean that day. And I went in there as an intern. The next day, when I walked in, I thought they were going to bust my balls and say I was terrible and blah, blah, blah. And I remember Coach Dan Bailey, he's the head coach at Creighton now. He looked at me, he's like, well, you didn't suck. And I'm like, oh, thanks, I didn't suck. He's like, you want a graduate assistantship? You want to get paid to do this? I'm like, yes. Yeah. Yes, I do. So I was recently married. I didn't have a job. So I went from an intern as a graduate, and then I got a graduate assistantship to be a strength and conditioning coach. I did that for about a year with the University of Akron. I worked with a couple teams there, primarily the football team. Then I got hired at the University of South Florida. Coached in Tampa for a year. And then I ended up at UCLA. So, small school. Nobody's ever heard of good old UCLA. Yeah. So, I coached at UCLA for 3 years.
Besides if you watch news, you know.
Yeah, you know, whatever. But so I went from Ohio to Florida, Florida to California. I coached at UCLA for 3 years. I worked with all types of athletes, primarily the football team. Worked with the national championship women's volleyball team, worked with the national championship baseball team, and the rest was history. It came to being a strength and conditioning coach. Got to meet a lot of professional athletes, a lot of movie stars, obviously, out there in LA, and really enjoyed it. But I kind of came to a place where my boss was a great guy and a great mentor. Mike Lynn's a great dude. I learned a lot from him. I use a lot of the things that he uses to this day. But I didn't want his job. I realized really quickly I did not want his job, and I hated California, just being honest with you.
It's kind of interesting, though, because when you go on a job interview, like when you're like, where do you see yourself if I hire you in 5 years, and people think being in your position is the best answer.
Yeah, and that is the best quote-unquote answer, but the reality is everything looks great on the outside.
Yeah.
Once you get inside and then you see what's actually happening, then it's a totally different picture. So on the outside, UCLA was the sexy job. I mean, I remember my parents, my grandparents at the time, they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to UCLA, you're going to be a strength coach at UCLA.
You're like,
this
yeah, I'm
awesome.
different, I told you.
Exactly, you know, so I went from this little kid from...
out of nowhere.
Yeah, this little brown kid from good old Troy, Ohio to now I'm at UCLA, and my parents could see me on TV every Saturday, and it was pretty cool to do that. And but once I got in, I was like, it was fun, and I learned a lot. It was a great learning experience, but I didn't want to be my boss. I didn't want to be him. And I was like, man, I'm in the wrong room, you know? And you know that feeling when you're like, I'm in the wrong room?
Yeah.
I'm with the wrong people, you know? That's what I felt like. And I had no clue what I wanted to do. I had a master's degree. I had a bunch of meathead experience. I was a strength coach at a D1 school, which was cool and sexy on paper.
Yeah.
And I got an offer to an SEC school. I got an offer to go work at the University of Tennessee, and I turned down a job at Tennessee. My dad got pissed. If he's listening to this, he probably remembers the conversation. He was like, "You're turning down a job at Tennessee. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Sorry, Dad." You know, and I remember to this day, at the time, I was like, I didn't want my boss's job at UCLA. And I remember the guy who was going to hire me at Tennessee. He said, "Hey, I know you're a church guy. I know you do the Sundays thing, but we work 24/7, 365 all the time." And I was like, at the time, I'd been married for like 5 or 6 years. And I was like, you know what? This is not the path me and my wife want to be on. We want to have kids. We want to raise kids. We want to have a family. We want to do it up. And I was like, it's time for me to get out of this profession. And I did. And I said, c'est la vie. So I had no clue what I was going to do. Yeah.
How hard was the decision? Because a lot of people
really
sometimes...
hard. It was hard, you know, but like...
Because a lot of people sometimes, they're like, that's the day I've been working for to get the job offer.
Yeah.
You know, I have a job guarantee.
Yeah, for me, I'm a natural risk taker. Mm-hmm. Not because I just think I'm that awesome. I'm a risk taker in the sense that I believe, you know, I'm a follower of Christ, and I believe the Holy Spirit's in me. And, you know, people always say, like, trust your gut, listen to your gut. I just think it's the Holy Spirit, to be honest with you. I really believe that. I believe that God has a path for us, and I believe that if we listen, He'll take us exactly where we want to be and where He wants us to be. And at the time, everybody and their brother was telling me that I was absolutely insane, and there was a still small voice in me that was like, no, it's time to move on. And even my wife at the time, she's like, I trust you, because that's the amazing thing. You know, I married an amazing woman. She trusts me, and she trusts what we were going to do. And I said, hey, listen, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to pack up our bags, and we're going to drive on I-10, and we're going to go all the way to Florida, and we're going to figure it out. And we did. We literally...
I've done that drive. Half of it is Texas.
There was like one day in Texas. But yeah, we just packed our bags. We left UCLA. I put a 3-month notice at UCLA. I worked for 3 more months for them. Packed up our bags. We left. We went to good old Florida, you know. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I just knew that Florida was warm, Florida was cheap, and that's where I wanted to be. So that's how I ended up back in Florida. And kind of the rest is history. I told my wife, I was like, I'll be a garbage man if that's what I need to do to make money, whatever. And I did a bunch of job interviews like everybody else does. I did all those scammy interviews where it's like, you know, like, we're going to make you a millionaire, you know, and it's like insurance sales that nobody makes money in. No offense to insurance salespeople. I did the interviews where it's like, yeah, we work with NASCAR, and it ended up being like car polish or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
That I stumbled across.
I remember those in the gas station.
Yes.
I actually interviewed for one of those for a summer job.
Yes.
And I remember that when they explained to me, I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That was an odd job.
It's an odd, yeah. The only thing I knew was I asked people what I was good at, and they're like, you would be phenomenal at sales. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I wanted to be, I actually wanted to work for a company called Power Lift, and they sell weightlifting equipment. And they told me, dude, you got great sales, but like you're great with people. People like listening to you and talking to you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I've got a background in this, and I can do some sales. Maybe I'll get a job in that. So I called up Power Lift, and they're like, well,
you don't have any sales experience. And I was like, yeah, I don't have any sales experience. So like, you need to get some sales experience. So I was like, okay. So I took an entry-level job selling some Quill office supplies. You know that from the old broker we both used to work for. We'll leave the name out of the interview.
Yeah.
I worked for them for a long time. I worked my way up really quickly. I went from entry-level rep to assistant manager in 6 months. Then I ended up running my own branch by the age of 28. I ran that bad boy for, how many years is that? No, 20. I was 27 when I got 27. So I ended up running it for like almost 6-7 years.
Yeah.
I was like one of the best offices in the country on AT&T. Won like all the awards other than I think consultant. I was like,
yeah, that's where I remember seeing you for the first time because you got on the stage to get one of the bonuses, and I was like, this is huge dude, like on the stage, and I was new at the business at the time for the broker that we used to work, and I was like, he just got a big check. This is interesting. And then came to find out you were just like nice to everybody and just really humble, really friendly.
Here's the thing, my guys did all the work. You know, I praise God. I got into a good situation with great people, and that's the thing. Like people don't realize, like your success. You have a lot to do with your success, but you also have a lot of people around you and who you surround yourself have to do with your success. And I just was blessed with a lot of great people that worked hard and really believed in me for some crazy reason, and they listened to what I had to say, and we made some good things happen, and we made a lot of money, and we got to do a lot of big things, and I won a lot of awards, and it was really cool, you know. That lasted for a while. I kind of stopped agreeing with a lot of things that were going on. We talked about it a little bit before in the deal, and now I've kind of chosen to take my skills to more of a home-based, more low-key deal, but still got the entrepreneur spirit, still got the hunger, still have the drive, and now I'm doing what I do now. So, which is be a dad, be a husband, podcaster, write some books, sell some stuff, coach people, make money.
We're going to go to your books, too.
Yeah.
So I did like the book. And when I read the book, it was kind of like a slap in my face there for a moment.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, Ray. But I want to focus on something.
You're good.
Your life has kind of been like a roller coaster.
Yes.
Like decisions there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was to meet you when you were 20 years old.
Yeah.
If you'd say, if I was 20, you met me and you told me this, it would have changed my life. What would that sentence have been?
Honest to God, this is going to sound really arrogant. It's going to sound really arrogant, but don't judge me if you're listening to the podcast. Don't change a thing. Do exactly what you did. I made most of my mistakes when I was like 17, 18. That's when I was a knucklehead in my life. When I was 20, that's when I got married at 22. But when I was like 20, I kind of had this like a epiphany wake up moment. And when I was 18, that's when I had my first. Well, I was actually 19. I had my first daughter. It was Bryn. She's beautiful, unbelievable.
She looks a lot like you.
She's my little clone. I love her. I wish I could spend every waking second with her, but you know, life happens. You know, she lives up with her mom in Indiana. I get to see her when I can, and you know, so on and so forth. But we have a really good relationship. We talk about anime and all that stuff like that. So yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm still a nerd to this day. 35 years old though. No, that's that. But I just went through a crazy time in my life. I was just making some really not so good decisions, and I had that a moment where, you know, God kind of smacked me back in the face and said, "Hey, listen, man, you're made for more than this." And thank God He did. And I think that I found my wife I started dating my wife around, I was like 21 when we started dating and stuff like that. I stopped chasing the bad girls, quote unquote bad girls, and really looked for the girl that I knew would compliment who I am and what I'm about.
Wife material.
Yeah, wife material, and have the same values and love God and love family, and that's my wife, man. Charity's been awesome, and we've been married now like 12 years, which is crazy. That's crazy to say in 2019 nowadays. You know, it's weird, but
is.
It's because
unfortunately we live in a different.
It's a different world, and people. The thing is like nowadays, like people are really good at putting up a front of who they are. And it changes. I mean, you know, it's how it works.
So you have 3 girls. Does this scare you when that time is going to come for them?
It's
Your face right now. You're like, you had to ask me that question.
Yeah, gosh, no, it's a good question. I trust God, and I trust how we're raising our girls. And I think that, that's something people don't talk about a lot, but, like, dads are so important to daughters. So important. And the number one job I can do other than love God and love my wife would be the best dad I can be. And I just love all my girls as much as I can. I wish I could do more with my oldest daughter. But it's funny. It's like, even though we don't hang out that much, she has so many of my tendencies, and she talks like me, and she does a lot of the things that I do. Like, she's into D&D, which is Dungeons and Dragons. I was a nerd like that. I loved that stuff when I was growing up. You know what I mean? Like, we love anime. We love, like, she picked the trombone to do her band instrument. That's what I picked. She had no clue about that. You know what I mean? Because I don't talk about when I play trombone or whatever.
Yeah.
But we have so much similarities, and genetics are hilarious like that. But the most I can be in her life, I want to be and try to help her out. But the same thing with my two little girls that I've got, Violet and Raymond. It's like, I just got to be the best dad I can be so that I can give them an example of what a man should be. And that's what you should hunt down. Now, I cringe because they're so good right now, and I know that's going to flip when they're teenagers, and they're going to rebel.
Got pretty eyes and blonde hair.
Yeah, they're going to rebel, and then they're going to be like, they're going to pick bad boys and all this stuff, and they're going to break their heart, and it's like, you just got to be you have to be that constant thing in their life, because things are going to happen, man. You know what I mean? Like, they may get in a bad relationship. I got to be the rock to be there for them if it goes bad. Hopefully it doesn't, but we live in a different world, man.
That is so true. Like, one thing that my dad always was since I was a little. Yeah. Like, I would hang out with my dad and his guys, and I started learning all the bad language when I was a little. Like, I remember, like, one time my cousin and his friend was trying to mess with me, just, like, joking around. Yeah. And I was, like, 11 or 12. Yeah. So I just went off really bad. And my cousin took me home and it's like, Auntie, like, what are you teaching this girl? Like, she's 11. And my mom is like, take it up with her dad. It's like, I don't even know. Like, she's with her dad all the time. Yeah. But that bond, it's so true, though, because later on, you do look for, like, whoever you're dating or whoever you want in your life. You do look for, your dad. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, my story, I was married, I got divorced, but things happened. But my dad was really supportive throughout the whole time. Yeah. And I consider my parents my friends, like my good friends. Like, I'll talk to them. If I hide something from my own family, if I go missing tomorrow, they know exactly who it might be, for example, Oh, goodness.
I think, back to your question of us 20, do exactly what you did, because I learned so many lessons when I was 20. I achieved a lot when I was in my 20s. I found a great relationship. I think I risked at the appropriate times, and I walked away at the appropriate times, because that's a tough thing, too, is people feel stuck. Like, the momentum will go one way. They'll go in one direction in a career. And a lot of people are afraid to pull back and say, you know what, I'm going to pull the parachute and go a different direction. And I am a testament to that, like, I'm on my third career. I think the average American's got, like, 20 careers or something like that by the age of 49. And people are like, well, I've got to do this one thing because that's what I went to school for. And, dude, like, 60% of us don't even use our college degree. Like, 60%. So this idea that you have to stay on a chosen path, it doesn't make sense. And the other thing I always tell people is, like, here's what I would say to myself at 20. Be observant like you were. That was the number one thing for me. I was just observant. I watched what other people did. Like, I grew up in a broken home, so, like, my parents were amazing, but they got split up. So I was like, I'm going to pick a girl that I know will stay with me, okay? So that was a good choice. Like, I would watch people who were ahead of me when I was an athlete, so I would try to be better than they were to be better. I would watch the bosses that were ahead of me say, do I want to be like that person or not, right? And my boss at UCLA, he was an entrepreneur before. And every day he talked about how he missed being an entrepreneur. So I was like, well, why am I not being an entrepreneur? You know what I mean? Like, why am I not doing that kind of stuff? It didn't hit me until I started running my own business, but, like, those were the things that were going in my mind. But when you're 20, I guess what I would say to people that are in their 20s is, one, trust your gut. God gives it to you for a reason. Be observant. Like, just be observant. Like, red flags are red flags for a reason. Like, if you're dating a scumbag, get out of that relationship. If you're, if you find yourself in bad situations all the time, you're probably making bad decisions, right? Like, so just be aware. And then the other part of that's just being aware. Be aware of your strengths and weaknesses. Know who you are, and that's really hard. It's hard to know who you are and what you're not. And
so how do you find a mentor to help you towards getting to that
point? For me...
Because nobody was born and say, oh, this is wrong, this is right, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know if I had said mentors, but I had people... God was just really good in the sense that he would put people in my life. And what's that old saying, like when you're ready to learn a lesson, the teacher will appear?
Yeah.
Be aware of who comes in your life and who comes in and comes out of your life. Pay attention to that stuff. Like, there is a reason. Like, even like the old crusty lady that you think is like just old crazy lady, there's probably a reason that old crazy lady is in your life. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I would have people in my life that like annoyed the living crap out of me, but there was a reason why they were in my life. And when I paid attention to that, I was like, oh, you're a jackass. I don't want to be like you. Because people can be an example, or they can be for good or for bad.
Yeah.
And those are like, for me, examples are like, are even more valuable than mentors, because it's like, okay, mentors are great and they can tell you all the right things, but are they really doing the things they say that they are, right?
True.
For me, I want to emulate my life after God, and then ultimately people who are doing the right things. That's what I want to emulate. If you're doing the opposite of that, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that I just don't want to be like you. You know what I mean? Like, I love my dad. I love my dad. I will say this on the podcast. I'd say this to his face. He's a good guy. But he's on his third marriage. Now, I'm glad he finally found love on that third marriage and stuff like that. But there are things that he did that I refuse to do. Yeah. Right? Because it's just not going to be good in marriage. Now, there's other things that my dad things that my dad do. So articulate on this podcast. There's other things that my dad does that I absolutely love. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I'm so glad that you did that.
So take the good out of it.
Yeah. You take the good and you take the bad and you just weigh them out. Like, what do you want for your life? You know? And I think a lot of times people just don't ask the question, like, a wise man once told me this, just ask yourself where you don't want to be. And that's what a lot of people don't ask. A lot of people are like, I really want to do this, and I really want it, and it's always like pie in the sky dreams and blah, blah, blah. But then ask yourself, where do you not want to be?
Yeah.
That's going to be a more powerful motivator to not be in that position.
So what if you do end up being in the position that you don't want to be and you fail? How do you move on?
Yeah, the great news is we're all flawed. We all suck. we do. It's like the Bible says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We all mess up. We all screw up. I remember when I was like 18, I was having like, I was just like, when I was 18, I drank a lot. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of stupid things. I binge drank. I had like anxiety headaches where like my head would like, you know, it was crazy. I just made a lot of bad decisions. And I had that like moment, that prodigal son moment where I was like, man, I'm doing a lot of dumb things. And for me, the first thing was I had to change my circle. I was just in a bad circle of people who made bad decisions and did a lot of bad things. I had to get rid of that. I had to cut ties with a lot of guys that I used to run with in high school and stuff like that. Not because they were bad people, but they just made bad decisions. And then I had to make conscious decisions like, listen, I'm not going to go and get annihilated every single night. That doesn't line up with my values or standards. Like Tony Robbins talks about that all the time. Mm-hmm. It doesn't line up with my standards, my values, of what I want to do in my life. Is a hangover going to help me out? Or is a poor decision drinking going to help me out? Is it going to lead me to different things? And honest to God, when you're in those moments, it's just being aware and saying, okay, do I want to continue this or not? And some of us are just stubborn. I'm a hard-headed dude. It takes me a lot of times to learn a lesson. And maturity is just how many times do you have to go through this to learn the lesson to move on from what you're doing and stuff like that. So I would say like that's the thing. Like, the other thing too is this: failure is going to happen. You're going to fail. Like, and for me, I learned that in the weight room. Like, the process of getting strong. Mm-hmm. Like, and people don't think about this. The process of being strong in the weight room is constant struggle and failure. That's all it is. I'm going to miss weights. When I was younger, 300 pounds was a lot on the bench press, and I missed it a lot. Now it's a lot, now it's a joke. I don't want to lift it because it's too light.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That I'd struggle and fail and struggle and fail and struggle and fail. But along the way, you're getting stronger, you're getting better, and that's how life is. You're going to struggle, you're going to fail, you're going to struggle, you're going to fail in all things, your relationships, business, life. You're just going to get better as you get going on. You will, if you pay attention to what's going on. And I think that's what a lot of people do. Like, don't fear the failure. Just understand that it's going to happen. Learn from it and move on.
Move on.
That makes sense?
That does.
Okay, good.
If you were to pick one moment in your life, it can be professionally or personally, like a moment that you think your life just changed for forever, and you just will never forget that moment.
Yeah, for me it was man.
Probably a lot of them, but if
There's
you
a
can
lot
pick
of them.
one or two.
One or two. When I was 13, I got saved. That was really important in my life. I mean, I really came to a place where I put my faith, trust, and hope in Jesus Christ. And, you know, in Hollywood, they make fun of that and blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, if you saved, you got to know Jesus and blah, blah, blah. That was such a crucial moment in my life that life was more than just me. And when I learned that, it changed a lot of things in my direction of what I did. Then it kind of led into, like, another moment that changed my life was, actually, it's a good one, losing. My sophomore year of college, there's 2 seasons to a track and field season. There's indoor and there's outdoor. Indoor shot put, I went into the national championship, the 14th ranked thrower in the country. I was ranked number 14. No shot of winning. I was going to throw 3 throws and I was going to be done. You know, it wasn't, you know, whatever. I had so much fun and I had trained and I was just more excited about the training process and I just got into it. But I stepped in at number 14 and then I threw a throw that put me at number 1 in the country out of nowhere. And I still remember this to this day. I looked up in the stands and my mom's up in the stands. My mom's jumping up and down like, ah, you know, just screaming. And I'm like, what just happened? And then I looked at the record board and they flipped the board and I was I was in first place. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah. As sophomore, I'm like, what is going on? I'm not supposed to be here right now. And as the meet progressed, it was looking like I was going to win. I was like, I'm going to win the national freaking championship. And I wasn't supposed to. I was like the 14th ranked guy. And this one guy, this big guy, I love this guy. I forget his name. I wish I could remember. This big Native American guy from South Dakota steps up and he beat me by like a couple inches. And I got second place. Now, the funny thing is, if you see the picture of me, I'm on the podium and I am pissed off.
You're not happy for the second place.
Pissed. I'm like, are you serious? And you can tell everybody else they just got their All-American awards. Yeah. They've got their plaque. Everybody's excited. I'm sitting there like angry. Now, keep in mind, an hour before, I had 0 expectations. 0.
I was like so high.
I'm like, oh, I'm 14th. We'll see what happens. So, here we go. And then I'm number 1. And for like 15 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to win the national championship. And then I didn't. My mom's jumping up and down when I hit my big throw. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And I didn't win. And it like, you know how like a
stamped on your brain.
Yeah, like it's seared into me. Like when you stick a cow with a hot, like, you know, whatever those things are that stamp cows. And sorry, I sound so good from Ohio. That was in my brain, and I was like, man, that sucked, and I'm never going to feel like that again. I refuse. And I went back home and trained my ass off. And I didn't lose a single meet the rest of the year. I didn't lose a single meet. And then I won the national championship outdoors, beat that guy that beat me, and it was like academic. And I remember that day. I remember that like 3 months. Like it was, I just still remember every part of that. I was like, I remember losing, and I don't want to ever lose like that again. And I just trained my butt off to win. And it was cool. And it just defined a lot of things in my life. It just taught me hyper-focus. It taught me how to overcome adversity. It taught me how to, like, even if you think you're out of it, you can win. Like, there's just different things that it just taught me in my life, and it translated to everything I did as a strength and conditioning coach, as a Division I athlete, as a entrepreneur, and as a dad now. You know what I mean? So, like, that was really cool.
So how do you build that strong mentality that you're just like, I'm just going to go there, I'm just going to win? Because you can do the training day in and day out, but mentally you might be drained out.
Yeah, for me, I'll be honest with you, most of my life have been motivated by proving people wrong. It's that little guy on my shoulder that he's angry. I have this little angry guy on my shoulder. I just want to prove people wrong. You know, I wanted to prove to people that
it's a satisfying feeling.
Yeah. Like my favorite word My favorite word in the English dictionary is vindication. I love the word vindicated. I love to be able to be proven right. That's why I do the podcast I do. That's why I do a lot of things I do. Okay, I like being right. I just knew that I was a top level athlete. I could prove that. If I worked hard enough and put my mindset there, I could get it done. But for me, like a lot of people, you can do the training, but you're right. If your mind is not there, you're not going to be successful. And for me, I just never allowed my brain to accept the notion that I was anything less than the best I could be. If that came in my mind, I was like, no, that's not who I am. You gotta almost program your subconscious to tell you who you are. And that whole month, I was like, I'm the national champion. I should have won that meet. Now, keep it an hour before, I had no chance. I was 14th. I didn't care. I was just happy to be there. But the moment I lost, I was like, no. It's like going to the dance and leaning in to give the girl a kiss, and you didn't do it. And then she ends up with some, douchebag later on, right? But if you get a second chance at the dance with that same girl, you're going to kiss her the next time. And that's kind of where I was at. I was like, I'm going to kiss this girl. I'm going to win this national championship. That's who I am. I can get the girl. I can win the, you know what I mean? If that's a terrible analogy. But you know what I mean? Like, that's where I was. And you just got to tell yourself who you are. And I think that's a lot of times we miss that in life. We just don't tell, we don't tell ourselves who we are, if that makes sense.
So, that is true, but also raising your voice.
Yeah.
I mean, you have your podcast, you have your own books.
Yeah.
You have no filters. What's up?
I don't. Yeah, it's
Which is awesome.
I'm doing good on this. I'm doing good.
You're doing really good.
I don't think I've cussed yet, so I'm good.
But aren't you worried sometimes what somebody else will say, or if it's like if you don't agree with my opinion, then let me convince you wrong.
Yeah, here's the thing.
And let me educate you. Like, how do you, especially on podcasts, because you do that every Thursday.
Yeah, here's what I would say to that. Your opinions don't pay my bills. They just don't.
Say that too, but people say I'm rude sometimes, and I'm like,
but here's the problem.
Truth.
The problem is me being rude does not negate what I do, what I think, what I feel. At the end of the day, like, the only person that you're really in control of is you. You are. Like, as much as I love my mom, she could tell me something and I could disagree with her, and she could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
I love my parents. They raised me. They raised me from the moment I came out the womb and blah, 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 but they can still be wrong.
Yeah.
I can be wrong. And I'll teach that to my kids, too. I mean, it's like, at the end of the day, like, you've got one life. You got one. That's it. You are going to die. You're going to meet your maker. You're going to die. You have this life to live, and it's not very long. You cannot waste a single second worrying about what other people think. You can't. You can't. And the thing is like, people will worry about, like, well, I'm worried about being mistaken or whatever. So what, man? You got to break eggs in life to make omelets. That's how it is. There have been times in my life where I've thought things that were stupid.
Yeah.
You learn from them, you move on, you keep going. I don't wallow in, oh my goodness, I can't believe I thought that when I was 18, 19, blah, blah, blah. I don't think about that. I was a freaking kid back then.
Yeah.
You know, the flip side is, if I have an opinion and I piss you off, that's a you thing. It's not a me thing. If my words offend you that much, that's you. That's not me. And at the end of the day, it's like, I can't live Romina's life.
Yeah.
Romina's got to live Romina's life. So if I disagree with how Romina does whatever, who gives a rip?
Yeah.
It's your life. When you die, you've got to meet God and say, this is what I did with my life. And that's what a lot of people don't do, is they're more concerned. People are so afraid of some idiot on Twitter, some jabroni on Instagram. So many people are worried about, like, their image on Facebook or what other people think about them or whatever.
What they say.
Yeah, what they say or what they think.
What if they, yeah.
But guess what? At the end of the day, if you get in a car accident right now, they're not going to be there to help you out. If you get sick, they're not going to be there.
What I tell my my family a lot too sometimes, and I come out harsh because I'm more of I was the different child. Like, I would stay inside.
The and different just, child.
Yeah. Well, I would play Super Mario, and all the girls are just like playing with dolls and all this, and I was like, no, I'll stay here at home. And you could hear them like playing on the by my window, and my mom was like, why aren't you outside? I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll just play Super Mario, or I'll just chill, watch TV.
Yeah.
But I tell my parents this too, because I always raise up my voice, and sometimes it's not as welcome, but at the end of the day, I get it out of my chest and I feel okay.
Yeah.
But I tell them, like, I may have situations at work or situations I might run into, and I'm like, hi, when I put my head Like, when I'm in my bed, I put my head in my pillow.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I worry is Romina okay? It's mom and dad okay? Is my brother okay?
Yeah.
And are my loved ones okay?
Yep.
If your opinion doesn't pay my bills or make my life better, it's zero.
Yep.
And my mom is very emotional, so sometimes she'll be like, that's just so rude. And I'm like, Mom, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, it's the ugly truth that not a lot of people want to accept.
Yeah, because the thing is in the world, here's how it is. The world is designed to get you to care deeply what other people think. I mean, you think about it, like Hollywood's like this. They want you so badly to look like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and they want you to worry about what you wear and worry about what you say and worry about whatever. It's a control mechanism, man. It's a control mechanism.
Yeah.
The world wants to control you. If you don't care what they think, you cannot be controlled. Period.
I was in LA last year, and it was, it's great.
Oh, it's plastic. It's so fake, but yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's what I ran into. It was so superficial that, like, you couldn't, I feel like if you wanted to have a conversation, like a deep meaning conversation, you can't have one.
No, because here's the thing.
Not even saying traffic. Traffic is horrible. So I don't even know why people want to move there.
LA sucks. I mean,
And the taxes, don't even get me started. Move to Florida. Or Virginia.
Listen,
those are two good states for taxes.
Yes. I'm not just in California. I have a lot of friends that are from California, but I would never live there again. But anyways.
Spectacular views, great places, but
even our education system, like, we are trained to care what our teacher thinks.
Yeah.
We're trained to care what our coaches think. We're trained to care what Susie Q on Facebook thinks about your eyeshadow or blah, 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 blah. Who cares?
I don't know.
Susie Q is not going to be there on my deathbed. No offense, a lot of my coaches they're not in my life all the time. No offense. People in LA have no clue what I do in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
Unless it pays my bills or concerns my kids, I don't care.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, there's such a power in that, and people don't realize that. When you bend the knee to other people about what other people think about you or their opinions, you are literally giving your power away to other people.
You are.
You're bending your knee and saying, please tell me how I should live my life. And most people have no clue how to live their lives. Most people are a wreck. Most people suck. Like me, like you. We all suck. I mean, I hate to say that. We all suck.
A different level, everyone.
Different levels, right? We all suck in certain ways. So for me to bend the knee to you, I'm just giving you away power that you don't deserve. I bend the knee to one person. It's God. That's it. I bend the knee to God. That's it. And if I do that, my life will take care of itself, because He knows a lot more than me or you or anybody could know. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So
it does. I want to go back to a little bit about superficial, though, because I noticed that. So right now I don't have makeup on.
Yeah.
And
you look so horrible. No, I'm just kidding. I'm playing.
Oh my goodness.
You look great. I'm just playing with you.
I haven't put makeup on.
I don't have makeup either.
I wanted to match with you. But I wanted to kind of do a comparison. I work sales, and I want to get into sales.
Amen. Sales. Love sales.
Yes. But I haven't put makeup on in about probably like 3 months.
Yeah.
Besides the day of my graduation.
Okay.
I feel so comfortable.
Yeah.
And a girl told me at work the other day, it's like, you should put some mascara on. And I said, why? She's like, you don't look very pale. And I said, well, don't look at me then.
Oh my gosh.
And she got mad at me.
Oh my gosh.
She got mad at me. But I was like, honestly, like, where do we find this power to insult somebody?
Yeah.
And this is just a most ordinary example. Where do we find the power to offend somebody when they're very confident? And if you build that strong inner core, you're just going to be like, yeah, no, I'm good, thank you.
It's because we live in a hive mindset mentality. It goes back to what we were talking about. We're trained to care what other people think and the authority thinks. And if it doesn't match with the authority, then it doesn't matter. So back to your makeup thing. I used to joke with my wife all the time. I would tell her, I was a jerk to my wife for some reason before we started dating, but I told her, I was like, you don't need to wear makeup.
I don't know why she married you, man.
Yeah, listen, man. I don't know what she puts up with me for, but it's all right. I think it's because we make beautiful kids. That's probably why.
They are adorable, yes. Yeah. As soon as I came in, they start hugging me. I was like, I love kids. Come here.
No, I told her, I was like, if you. I used to joke with her. I was like, you don't need to wear makeup. Mm-hmm. I bet you look really pretty without makeup. And she stopped wearing makeup for like a week.
Yeah.
She looked great. You know, and it's like there's such a
good old fake up. I call it fake up, but like even something stupid like that. And for guys, it's other things. It's like I've got to have the best car, or blah 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 blah. All this bull crap, the superficial stuff. At the end of the day, your grandkids are not going to care what your makeup was when you're 23. No one cares what your first car was. Nobody cares what your clothes look like. Your soul is more infinitely valuable than anything that could be. Like this is the thing. Like I try to get people to understand. Your body is just like it's a meat. It's basically a meat puppet to your soul.
Yeah.
Your soul dictates what your body is. If you're letting the exterior of your soul be controlled by what other people think, you're really not living. You're not living your life. You're living somebody else's life. Yeah. That's cool if you're into that thing, but I'm into living my life. I've always been that way. That's why I quit on UCLA and turned down a Tennessee job. And everything in my training growing up was, you got to be part of big-time sports. You're a jock. You're an athlete, national champion. You've got to do this.
This is what you should do.
I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Then I quit. Then I started doing some door-to-door sales and learning how to do a door-to-door sales company and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so we both work door-to-door sales. So how was that experience starting for you?
Okay, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Ray so far. I know I cut the conversation right as we are about to talk about door-to-door sales and sales experience and how does sales career changes you as a person. So do not forget that episode comes out on Thursday. There's a lot of information under this episode, and I want to kind of split it into two so everybody gets a chance to listen to it and you don't feel overwhelmed with a lot of information coming at you all at once. So we will see you guys back on Thursday. Do not forget. Hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Bye.